Victor. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the content editor from SurferSEO. So if you're not familiar with this specific tool, definitely, you're definitely going to want to dive in here and start using it right away, just because it is pretty much an industry standard at this point. Obviously, you don't have to use it, and you can still rank everything without it. But if you're maybe like new to SEO, if you're just getting started, if you're just like a freelancer without too much experience just yet, you're probably going to want to be using some sort of a tool like this to make sure that quality is kind of met across the board. So if you are running an agency, it's also going to be very important, because if you think about it, you want to be putting out content that is for sure going to be ranking, right? So you don't want to write anything, or you don't want to charge any sort of clients with content that you're going to publish out there that you're not actually sure if it's going to rank or not. So this is really where this comes in. And you can use the content editor tool you can teach it to writers as well. So I'll get into a little bit of that. Let's just go straight into what this tool looks like. So if you haven't kind of dug deep into the SurferSEO suite, I do recommend that you check out the work that this team of people are doing. So I would say that SurferSEO, their team is pretty much on the forefront as far as trying to find, or trying to research content, what it is that makes things rank a little bit faster, what it is that you actually have to match with people that are already ranking if you want to acquire those same ranks. So there's a whole bunch of, theory as to why this makes sense, but pretty much across the board, with the amount of campaigns that I'm running, I definitely want every service page, or every page that aims to get any sort of a high value keyword. I do want to make sure that those people are getting their content run through Surfer. Whether or not the final suggestions are all entirely used would be a different story, but that's really why I'm here with this video. The first thing you want to take a look at is the fact that it lets you choose a city. So let me just start with describing what you put in here for the keywords. So if it lets you put in a city, you don't have to put the location in the actual query. But if you can't find the city in there, or if the city's a little bit small, I would say definitely get the city into the query so that you can get relevant results. Now this tool, it does get worked on throughout time. It does improve throughout time, and it has improved a lot. So over time this will get better, but if you want to make sure you're specifically looking at competitors from your location and you're not able to get the city in there like this, make sure you get that in the query. Otherwise, you can very easily end up just optimizing for like a different location, or just not getting the right data in there. So I guess this is a good point to kind of state. This goes along the competitor parity type of theory when it comes to content. So there's a lot of reasons as to why you might want to use competitor parity. The biggest one being that there are already people that rank for the keywords you want to rank for, and there's already a level of data established off of those those results. Like Google, we're not starting new every time we do a campaign. Google's already seen everything you've got, really. Sure, you can try to publish some new content, but I guess as far as using tools like this, it's not going to help you publish something completely new. This is just to help you publish something that's better, that already exists, but you're trying to make it better. And if you are creative, if you are truly a good writer, your content is just going to excel above everybody else. So this is not the end all be all. But let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to need an example to actually run one of these. So let's say we want to rank for, let me pull up my notes here, because I do have a page I need to build. So let's say truck accidents in Louisville, right? Let's say you're an injury lawyer. So I have my own way of just writing like what I like to call root keywords where it's not, obviously, other than this keyword, you could do attorneys, you could do law firm. Those are all the same thing. You could also start making it more long tail, but I try to get to the root. The root meaning the one high value keyword that we're trying to hit. Obviously, if you need if you were in a truck accident and you need a lawyer, you're gonna put in the word lawyer, attorney, or law firm in there. If you're not looking for a lawyer, if you're just looking for information about trucking accidents, you're gonna exclude that word. So these 3 words, very simply, is the closest thing to the root high value keyword that we're trying to go for. So this is what we're gonna type into the query here, into the tool. So we have Louisville already inserted, so let's just go ahead and run it. If it didn't have the city in there, I would actually put like in Louisville. But we're gonna run that, and then obviously if you're doing a lot of these, you can just run this in bulk. So if you, let's say, prepare all the keywords that you're gonna be working on ahead of time, you could just drop them in here as they run, because it does take a little bit, I think like a minute or 2 to run this. So once it's done here, we're gonna jump right into it. And again, this example is for trying to do a service page for truck accident lawyers. Now, what's gonna be missing from this is little customizations, little flavor bits. So I like to do pages a certain way as far as like the structure. So for an attorney, I might say, okay, first paragraph, you're introducing what the type of case is. You know, it's a truck accident, cases regarding truck accidents. The second paragraph, maybe go into it just very lightly into into the fact that this law firm that you're on right now helps people specifically for that type of case, just very lightly. And then it goes into the actual valuable content that we're going to get from SurferSEO, or that we're going to lead with SEO. We're going to guide it with SurferSEO. Outside of that, then maybe the last paragraph is the takeaway. There might be a lot of customization within that you don't even have to mess with Surfer with, but just as far as your call to action, how you like to do your call to action, how you like to wrap up and summarize the page that you just wrote. You know, there's little bits and stuff you can always add. This is mainly just for like the main meat of the page. So let's just click right into it. So it does actually go ahead and take over a little bit with some of the setup, but again, you do not want to pass this off with all the default settings. You can very easily ruin what you're doing if you just kind of assume that everything it's spitting out at first is correct. So number one, you know, don't assume that all of this is correct. You have to actually go and set this up. But this is what you can pass off to your writers, right? And if you're not familiar with this, you can just share the link here. If you share this link, they don't need to sign in at all, which is perfect for writers. Very simple. Click here, build your page, follow the guidance of the tool, and let me know when it's done. I think they can actually, yeah, they can mark it as done. It gives you a notification later. So you're gonna click, right? You're gonna click the settings, because we're gonna customize this entirely. So this helps, it helps a lot if you already know this, this market. If you've already been doing research on truck accident lawyers and you already know which law firms actually are putting out valuable content, this is gonna be way faster for you, because you will already recognize everybody, all these competitors that it's pulling. If not, you have to read these. So you actually do have to read these pages. There's really no way around this. And I'll show you why, but let's just kind of see what's out here. So we can see it gives us a whole list of competitors, and it's already pre-selected some of these. The pre-selection, again, sometimes it's on point, sometimes it is not. So definitely don't just rely on that. But let's look at these 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've got 5. The first 2 were selected as to be used, as well as this one for Morgan & Morgan. Now we're going to take a look and see if we agree with that to begin with, because this is kind of going to frame the entire thing here for this page. So looking through this, and I have read through most of these, if not all of these that are pulled up already, but a quick glance to check, is this a thin page? Is this just crap content, or did they actually do something? Obviously they did put some effort. You could see some question and answer section in here. You could do an FAQ schema for that on this specific page. So these are pretty cool, and these work really well as far as like especially if you use this page for other efforts. I can see how just adding the relevant content on there helps. Another thing that's important about these, are these topics too far off from the main topic? Like, should these be on a different page? No, I think it just barely goes into like very, very common, very high level questions about truck accident cases, which is totally perfect for this type of service page. Now, if you like those, we'll come back to it in a second, because there is a section that tries to pull out common headings. And if you see a lot of people doing this frequently asked thing with their headings, you will see this being pulled up by the tool later. But it's a good thing where even just one competitor having it, that's how I like to build the pages. I like to put the frequently asked questions on these types of pages. So even just seeing one competitor do that, I can already tell my writers, hey, let's go ahead and put these topics in there as frequently asked questions. But if you see that all the top competitors are doing that, that's pretty much a good giveaway there that you can increase your rankings by doing some similar thing like that. How is negligence established? How is responsibility established? What to do following? Some of these suck. So looking at Morgan & Morgan, they've got the FAQ content, and that's great. But not your fault, not your expense. It's obvious that they're just relying on the fact that everybody knows who they are. So this type of content I don't actually like. It's just too much focused on frequently asked questions, which those can be done as separate blog posts anyways. And the main meat of the page is just a little bit lacking, I think. I mean, it's not bad, but come on, like they really didn't try to put any value on this page. So right away, we're gonna go back and we're gonna uncheck that one. And I actually uncheck forthepeople.com every single time because of that same reason. So let's take a look at some of the other ones here. So we already picked apart a bunch of good stuff here. We looked at that content. Let me look at Hughes and Coleman here, just really quickly. So it does appear like they're trying to give value. It does go into detail about what's going on. Where's the takeaway? Got the takeaway section over here. Frequently asked questions again. So we're definitely going to do a little selection of that. This page here is a little bit lacking. The realities of the trucking industry. Doesn't seem that relevant. I don't really like this Thomas Law Offices. So it's a good thing that it pre-selected these two, because these are definitely good pages. There's a lot of value being shared there. I like them. Don't like this, don't like this, don't like this. Let's just check these here. We'll just check a few more, just so I can kind of show you what I look for. But again, overall, trying to find value. Is value being shared here? Is it on topic? Common causes, that's good. So common causes, list them out, and then goes into detail. Catastrophic, I don't know. I like the video. Videos are great on any service page. Fatal truck accidents. A little bit too much going on here. You can see, like, as you go down the road, or down the list here, it gets a little bit different. So I don't like that Truman Law. Let's look at, we've got Jeff Sampson Law. Very much focused on the content here. No pictures, no videos, nothing crazy. Intro, do I need a lawyer? Why hire them? Causes. Info about the types of cases, this is good. Statistics, some FAQs, and a takeaway. This is great. This is pretty good. I'll leave that one checked. So I'm almost done here. One last one, usattorneys.com, a truck accident. Oh, these guys have blog sites. Definitely not as good as the rest of them. So we're gonna uncheck that. So my thing is, I would say pick at least 5 competitors, maybe 5 at most. If you see 5 solid ones you really want to pull from, I would say no less than 3. And that's just my rule of thumb there. Some people might say try to get some more, and more data is better, but I think it really depends on the specific SERP. Because if you're going through and looking at all the pages like this, you're going to find results that are crap. Not everybody puts out good content. I don't like this. This one's okay. Ben Crump. A little bit short. We'll leave it checked for now. So we've got 4 checked. So we just went through these. We just rated these based upon quality, right? So, and if maybe you're not too experienced with that yet, at least try to compare and contrast all the articles. Like really read them. And tell yourself which one's delivering more value, which one, I guess try to get into that perspective of the user. Which one really actually tells me what it needs to tell me, and which ones are maybe like the Morgans where, yeah, it tells you fancy information, but it doesn't really go into detail about why maybe you'd want to pick them or what's different about this law firm. So let's bring it down here. We're on content structure. So it does give you an overall word count. Now be careful because of course it's going to count all the little extra things on the website. So if you are familiar with crawling pages with Screaming Frog and pulling out their content amount, then you would be, you would realize there's actually a default amount of content, like all this crap here, all this crap here that needs to be, all this crap here that needs to be removed from that count, but it's not. So you usually knock it down a little bit, but again, just kind of taking a look at the pages will help you understand that, because if everybody that you've selected here has a 3,000 word page, and they're all the top ranking people, you're gonna have to write a 3,000 word page. And that's also why this comes into play, why Surfer helps, because you might sit there after this many words and you're like, oh man, how do I come up with twice as much content? Well, that's what this is for. Because if you actually pick apart all the topics that are being mentioned, you're gonna have enough to write about. But I'm gonna knock this down a little bit to like 1,500. And then let's continue here. So this is like, I feel like this is like the second most important part after choosing those competitors that it's going to pull from, because now you're doing a little bit of the deselection. So we're going to go through a process of selection and deselection. We're going to look at what words actually are representing the core of what this page needs to be. So if you see any words that don't specifically relate to what we're talking about, if there are words that are a different service, so in this case we're doing truck accidents, if it talks about car accidents, I want to exclude that. I want to very purely provide instructions to writers about the core of what this page needs to have. Again, we're using creative writers, they're not robots, they can write. We're just giving them the core of what needs to be on the page, because outside of that, they can be creative, they can be unique, they can bring new stuff to the platform that is going to rank. Why is it going to rank? Because at its core, it has everything it needs to. So again, I don't purely believe that it's as simple as putting this keyword in there 3 times versus 10 times is better. I don't think it's purely that simple. I think that if you go through the full instructions for something like this, then you can really start to understand what does it really mean to have a valuable page to answer this query. But that's really what you're trying to get. At no point are you actually following instructions so precisely that you do away with the creative process. So you just want to be careful when you're putting this together and passing it off to the writer to not assume that they're just robots, because your content quality is going to go down if they just look at it as purely how many keywords need to be in here. So let's get into this. So the H is just suggesting that it should be a heading. So that does go into a little bit of the naturalness. I don't like to just stuff the keyword in there as the heading and call it a day. So I might actually remove, I don't like this one. I'll leave that one in there. That way there's a forced H1 heading somewhere in there, or H2 heading, sorry, with the city in there. But having the H checked on there is going to tell the writer that you want that written specifically in a heading. So that's one thing you might want to do as you're going through here if there are already main topics you want written into headings. So let's just take a look through these. So truck accidents, truck drivers, accident lawyers, law firm, trucking company, free. We're going to delete anything with free case evaluations, free estimates. I don't know if, again, as I'm doing the process, I'm not sure if you're giving it to a writer, maybe the writer doesn't know, or they're just not that quick with it to know if that given client is doing free estimates. And anyways, I like to kind of, that goes into how the client likes to word it. So I'm actually just going to remove any instance of free estimates, free case evaluations, privacy policy. If you see anything like that, terms of service, random gibberish like that, you're going to go ahead and uncheck that. Commercial trucks, personal injury. So we're going to remove, if we see too many instances of personal injury lawyers, personal injury is fine, but I don't want to fill up this page with instances of personal injury lawyers just because I don't want to end up conflicting with the pages that are supposed to rank for personal injury lawyers. So if you find yourself having to mention other services, just try to be mindful of how many times this tool is going to suggest to the writer to be using it, because if it tells them to use a keyword like 10 times and it's one that should really be talked about on a different page, you're going to want to make sure to make that distinction so that you don't end up with two pages that are conflicting with each other. Causes of truck accidents. All of this looks relevant as far as like what needs to be on the page. So the best way for me to explain this is stuff that's not so relevant. So like again, free consultation, let's uncheck that. Over here, hours of service, uncheck that. Something about a safety administration. So that definitely sounds relevant, because then we could even, if the writer starts writing about that association, maybe the regulations they put in place, they can now cite regulations, explain regulations, even produce a relevant outbound link. So stuff like that can be excellent to go ahead and provide to the writers. So let me just scan through this. Spinal cord. That's fine. Safety administration, Louisville, Kentucky. The city that's in there. Personal injury lawyers, I'm going to uncheck that. And again, the writer can choose to write personal injury lawyers, but because I'm unchecking it here, they're just not going to be told that it needs to be in there. That's like the big distinction. Contact us, remove that. Wrongful death, medical, 18-wheeler injury, large commercial, serious injuries, accidents involving. All this stuff, these are all words necessary to make a good page here. Truck crash, medical malpractice, 80,000 pounds. I'm not sure what that's referring to. I'm gonna uncheck that. Unless can't type today. Louisville. $8,000. I was just gonna see if there's a known. Yep, 80,000. Yeah, so there is a specific law mentioning that 80,000 pounds, so I'm gonna leave that in there. Kentucky vehicle. So if there's a different location, it can happen. If the law firms being pulled from work in different locations, you might get different locations. So you want to uncheck the wrong ones. In this case, I don't think it's pre-selected too many things that are wrong. So we'll just go straight into the next one. So again, you're just trying to think, after looking at those pages and noticing the different topics that were described, what do any of these words look like they're super important, as far as like you can't make the page without these words, is essentially what you're looking for. So negligence, regulations, recover compensation, emotional damages, all these other ones are a little bit too generic of words. Highway. And the farther down you go, the less relevant they seem to be. For example, quick, it's not super important to specify to the writers. All right, so this was a pretty easy one. And also, they've kind of gone a long way. If you used to do this like a year ago, there was way more gibberish in here. So they should be a little bit faster than it used to be back, a year ago or so. But you can tell that there's a big difference between actually looking at the pages and not. Even taking the moment to maybe research something that came up that you're not too familiar with, just to make sure that you're, again, putting together the proper page. So let's go down here under the topics. So this is where it can pull the headings if they're doing the FAQ sections. It doesn't always put them in as questions here, but how dangerous is tired driving? What are the common injuries? So we can get this one in there. Is there a time limit? Yep. Statute of limitations. What are the common causes? It's already this here. So, there's multiple pages here for it. Here we go. How do truck accident lawyers prove negligence? Who can be liable? And that's pretty much it. The other questions kind of suck. Yeah, those were the ones that I found from those competitor pages. So they were pulled again from here, where you could check them off. What are these distracted driver penalties? That's a bad one. Oh, that's a good one here. Look at that. That might be better for a blog post, honestly. But I'll leave that up to the writer. So, okay, so I chose some questions there. The writers do already have a little bit of experience as far as putting more frequently asked questions in there, but we at the very least pulled some optimized ones, some ones that are already getting traffic. So we've gone ahead and just guided the entire process. Again, even if the writers know what they're doing, we just guided it and optimized it according to what's actually ranking right now. So just from experience, I can tell you that this works tremendously well across the board. So it's not like what's it called? It's not like a get you number one. Obviously links are still a thing. But if you're doing a holistic campaign, if all your pages are good like this, if you're doing link building, you're not really gonna run into too many issues outranking the competition, given this much attention to detail. So any other notes you want to pass off to your writers would be, you have a note section. So it makes it really cool. It makes it really easy, a very nice platform to pass off to the writers and go back and forth. But once you prepare that, you can hit the let's go. It's going to update that. Now you will see the selection of keywords is entirely updated. And you can give it another rundown really quick just to see if there's any weird garbage in there that you might want to exclude. Otherwise, if the writers are experienced, they might realize, oh, hey, I think you put this one in on accident, and then you might get a little bit of a back and forth until the page is finally done. So that would be it as far as this tool. So again, I use this process for pretty much every single page that I would put out. Not every single page, all the service pages. Blog posts, it can get a little bit weird to optimize the blog posts if they're really creative. The service pages, you do have the similarities across the board with the law firms. On the blog posting side, you could have a lot more variation. So whether you want to use this for all your blog posting, that would be a different story. Obviously, you can kind of modify the instructions. Maybe you can just bring down the actual keyword selection and make it a whole lot lighter to allow for more creativity from the writers. But I think the rest of it is just going to be the communication of you and your writing team, and how you explain this tool, and how you explain the instructions, I guess, to them. But definitely, if you haven't used this tool, I definitely recommend using it. Again, you can do this entire process on your own, but you could probably imagine writing down all the words and putting down all the notes. Like, you'd end up with so much put together just for the one page versus creating a little configuration like this and then just being on the same page with your writers as far as what you expect. So that would be it. This is how you use this tool. I highly recommend it. If you've got questions, let me know in the comments section. If you want me to check out a different Surfer SEO tool, let me know. This is the primary one that I use from this suite, but I can definitely check out other ones if everybody is wanting that. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.